Welcome to CNN Business Traveller. I'm Richard Quest. This month, preparing to go on the road. Everything's changed in the era of COVID, and we must be prepared, or we could find ourselves in deep trouble. For instance, there are those COVID tests with various deadlines. There's locator forms galore for every country that you're going to visit. Fill them in before you arrive. Don't forget, if you're transiting through an airport, there may be a whole raft of different rules and regulations. And just when you think you've got it right, everything could change. The quarantine rules are a movable feast. The physical discomfort of business travel these days may be one thing.
We're down.
Trying to roll with the ever-changing logistics of travel, that's entirely a different pain. So far, it's all been pretty much as normal. But when you get to the terminal, all change. My recent trip from New York to Rwanda and back involved the most complex set of travel rules I'd yet to navigate. So this is the first bit. Even to get into the airport, he wants to see my COVID test. I've got it printed in there. Can I show you it on here? And now I've got to remember where in my phone I've put the things. Yes, there.
Okay, your passport.
The unenviable task of preparing us for what to expect, in many cases, falls to the corporate travel management companies.
The rules change ongoingly. They may actually change while you're in flight as well, as we know. So we're trying to make sure that we have the most accurate and most up-to-date information possible.
Nicholas Andreen heads up traveller experience at CWT, formerly Carlson Wagonly. I'll make it clear, this is not your firm we are talking about. But I'm deeply unimpressed with the out-of-date nature or the paucity of information I'm getting.
No, at the end of the day, I mean, it's the government that provide the information, but what we do is try to continuously scour the world for that information and continuously update it.
What do you see as your responsibility in this?
Historically, it's been very much focused on booking a ticket. And over the last year, it's truly expanded to how do you manage pre-trip to make sure that people just don't go off and traveling, all the way through to making sure you have the right information when you take a travel decision. Back at Kigali Airport check-in, a quick review of the volume of documents I've accumulated on this trip. It's overwhelming. There was the COVID test to leave the United States, the passenger locator form for going through Belgium, the sworn statement allowing me to transit in Brussels, the Rwanda passenger locator form, the COVID test to actually leave Rwanda. And that's before you've worried about visas, passports, and your wallet. With speed of change and complexity of requirements, the very best we can do right now is arm ourselves with the most reliable information. Airline and travel apps are a good start, and the IATA Travel Centre site is the gold standard. Even the airlines are using IATA's information to check documents and test requirements before boarding.
Thank you for helping prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Now, on this matter of testing, you'll be hard-pressed to find a destination that doesn't require some form of it. As with all other travel requirements, one size does not fit all, and we must have go-to options.
Hi, how you doing? I'm gonna get a PCR test.
For convenience, the airport is, of course, a first choice.
We have locations pre-security and a few post-security. Most of our traffic is outbound traffic as people are trying to satisfy requirements.
Doug Satzman is the chief executive of Express Spa Group. It's a global health and wellness brand that had many departure spas in airports. Now, during the pandemic, they're pivoting those spas to COVID testing sites called Express Check. You're taking on a certain responsibility here because somebody's flight depends on you getting it done.
That's right. So we've worked with a few airlines, especially out of Newark and JFK, with direct flights to Amsterdam, partnered with United and KLM and Delta to facilitate passengers who are on their layovers for coming through our system, or if they're originating out of New York for these transatlantic flights.
And to those who turn up for a test, looking forward to going off and then, oh no, I'm positive.
Either our doctor or nurse practitioner will speak directly with the patient, and they're given the instructions to self-isolate. They cannot go through security. They're informed they cannot board a plane.
Globally, many major airports now offer testing facilities, but when their services don't align with our travel deadlines, then at-home options become important.
Here we go. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is Pixel.
The choices differ depending on the country.
Okay, here we go. Let's log into Pixel.
They promise results within 48 to 72 hours, and that's the sweet spot for travel regulations.
That was easier than I thought.
I've successfully used Pixel several times, but be warned, bad weather can delay delivery of your test. And as I discovered going to Rwanda, you run the risk of not getting the result in time for your flight.
This is going to be around for a long time. Just like 9/11 changed airport safety requirements, COVID has raised awareness, and infectious disease testing is going to be a part of safety protocol for a while.
And it's not only change to business travel that's on the horizon.
It is a bit depressing flying in these circumstances. A lot of tension sometimes with people who haven't been doing much flying during COVID, wiping down seats, making sure that no one gets too close. It's not normal, but we're still doing it.
Like many of us, Brian Whitney led a very different pre-pandemic life. When I met him in 2015, he was a dedicated road warrior, spending almost half the year traveling.
There are many trips that you will take that you do not have to take, that you could vid conference, that you could... No, don't look at me like that.
It's very hard to get on a conference call and say, you mean a lot to me, but there's so many times where you just do have to go.
The pandemic has always kind of knocked us back down to this level of even playing field that we're not special anymore.
Today, Brian has changed his tune. The Million Miler now has a new appreciation for the different elite status that comes from working from home.
The perk or the upgrade has been replaced by a different special, in some ways a better special, but it's a special of being able to go to a soccer game or get a hug after work or cook a meal at home.
But many people still hanker for it to be back on the road again. Is it better face to face?
Quite frankly, we've proven that you can do it remotely, you can do it virtual. And so, in a world where you can do it virtual, do you have to go there?
The answer, in many cases, no. That's according to the CEO of the multinational consulting group EY, who told me if his staff don't need to travel, they won't.
So for us, we're expecting our client travel to maybe be down 5–10%, but our internal travel to be down as high as 50%.
It's EY's Karen Hutchings' job to make sure that travel spend doesn't return to anywhere near where it was. She has her reasons.
The pandemic's given us the opportunity to pause and reset. And so the key thing for us is to not allow travel to come back to the same levels that it was before.
I have a slightly more sceptical view that once travel is allowed again, it will naturally rise. That project, oh, I better go and see X in Y.
We realise, whilst we had a lot of internal travel, 8% of our overall trips were day trips. If we can take away the day trips, that will start to reduce the volumes. The other element as well is around the number of times that we actually visit people, whether it be clients or whether it be internally.
It's not just about saving money.
No, it's definitely not about saving money, actually. It is ultimately and absolutely about what we're going to deliver from a sustainability reduction.
With an estimated billion fewer travellers last year, the airlines know they'll have to convince some anxious travellers to get back on planes. On my recent trip to Kigali, I sat down with Yvonne Makolo, the CEO of Rwanda Air.
August 1st, we restarted operations, but we took a phased approach to it. We started with the regional flights, the intra-Africa flights, and then the long-haul flights. But the majority of our routes are open now.
Are you at the point of basically saying, look, there's just no way we could do this? Are you there yet?
No, we're not there yet. Fortunately, we're not there yet. It's tough. On the operational side, we're rationalizing our fleet, we're rationalizing our route network, basically right-sizing so that we can grow in the future.
Qatar Airways is going to take a 49% stake in the airline. What does that mean for you?
Qatar taking 49% of Rwanda is big for Rwanda and for the airline. Rwanda is a very ambitious country. We'll be able to position Rwanda in a very strategic way as a proper regional hub, international hub for the African continent and beyond.
Do you get tired of people saying you're one of the few female CEOs in the airline industry? Look at this one. I mean...
I'm getting used to it, but I think at this point that shouldn't be the case. And I believe I'm spoiled, and we're spoiled here in Rwanda, because Rwanda is such an example in terms of women empowerment. Within Rwanda, we are determined to have equal representation. We currently have 50% of our executive committee being women. We had one female pilot a few years ago. Now we're close to 10%. So we're seeing some changes, and we're excited about the changes that we're seeing.
Anyone who has set foot in an airport in the last few months is well aware getting to your gate is navigating a strange new world.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Wear a face mask at all times.
At Rwanda's Kigali International Airport, I found myself face to face with the future.
They're telling me to please wear a mask.
Keep your hands clean by using the hand sanitizers.
My temperature is 36.6 degrees. Very clever. You have the potential to become extremely annoying.
Whether you feel being chased by a pre-flight robot nurse is instructional or intrusive, it's only another example of the altered experience travellers must expect in COVID times.
Mesdames et messieurs, votre attention, s'il vous plaît.
The first thing that needs to happen over and over and over again is vaccination, vaccination, vaccination.
Christine Lagarde, president of the European Central Bank, knows vaccinations make sense for the economy, and that certainly means the travel industry. Yet while the COVID vaccine has raised hopes that crossing borders may soon be easier, the question now becomes, should a vaccine passport be required to fly? And who will be able to get one?
That is absolutely one of our greatest concerns, that the vaccine situation will continue to exacerbate the gap, the inequality gap that exists in the world, especially the North-South divide.
Is vaccination going to be a key to easier access to Singapore?
I suspect vaccination will be a very important element. But right now, we have to recognize that every country in the world, even the most advanced one, the ones that are most furthest along in the vaccination programs, we're still at a relatively early stage.
Before vaccines are widely available, Singapore's tourism's Keith Tan believes standardised health protocols and safe travel channels are what's going to get business traffic flowing back to Singapore. It's what's driving a new concept called Connect at Changi. Basically, a business traveller bubble built at Changi Airport that's frequently voted the world's favourite.
This idea of Connect at Changi, is it going to work?
A lot of companies here don't just do Singapore business, they do regional business. And they were telling us that they needed to meet their regional representatives from ASEAN, from Asia Pacific. So Connect at Changi was built to meet that particular niche, and we are optimistic about its prospects.
How realistic, Keith, is it to get tourism up and running again until the airline is fully up and running again?
I think it's a matter of time frame, right? We all know that travel and tourism across borders is not going to get restored anytime soon. Optimistically, we might see some slow creeping return to travel by later this year if vaccination programs go well and the vaccines behave as we expect them to, right? So first of all, we need to be realistic. At least 2 or 3 years before the return of mass travel.
Oh, hi! No, wait, don't go. Haven't we all had enough doom scrolling?
With a long recovery road ahead, countries are relying on creative online campaigns, keeping the travel dream alive.
I feel better already.
No matter how remote that might be. Despite their announcement that the borders may remain closed to non-essential travel until at least the end of the year, Australia continues to entice us with immersive video escapes. And then there's Iceland, a nation known for innovative tourism. They've created a Looks Like You Need Iceland page, where visitors are encouraged to vent their COVID frustrations, giving out a good guttural scream from one of their majestic vistas. Whether it's Iceland or Australia, Europe or the United States, Singapore believes wooing back visitors will require long-term investment.
Singapore Reimagine. It's not a branding exercise, is it?
Singapore Reimagine, rather, is our next stage of our recovery campaign. We strongly believe that travel and tourism cannot go back to a pre-COVID business as usual. In order for the economy to grow again, we need to have a safe environment. An environment where our citizens, our workers, our tourists feel safe.
It's Saturday afternoon and normally the arrivals area would be packed with people who are looking for their ride home, Ubers and the like. Today, as you can see, there's no one here. Only 3 flights from Europe have landed. So, you say you're missing travel. Eager to escape lockdown. There's plenty of homemade remedies to make yourself feel back on the road.
Captain speaking. Just about ready to depart. Should be away on schedule.
Well, desperate times do call for desperate measures.
I feel that the travel experience is the single one most human activity that opens us up.
Meet Michael Bryan, the travel psychologist.
Our travel lives used to be through the eye of a camera.
As we wonder if we'll ever be able to wander again, he says it's helpful to remember why we used to love traveling in the first place.
When you go overseas or to a new place, everything opens up again. You have exhilaration, expectation, and it gives more possibilities to you. You know, more possibilities of being more of who you want to be, getting the rewards that come from all this new stimuli, all these new possibilities. And guess what? It's relatively safe. It's very rewarding. It builds up our self-confidence, our self-esteem, and I think we become more of the people who we want to be.
Perhaps it was nostalgia, a yearning for the good old days when travel was easy. By now, my travel therapy with Michael was tapping into some deep, basic needs and some uncomfortable truths.
So many people, and perhaps I include myself, get a certain amount of status from travel, particularly if you're already elite status within the airlines or the hotels. It's part of the life. It's part of the character. And it may be somewhat narcissistic, but that is true.
It is. And it is us. That's for sure. I like to think of when I've done a lot of traveling and adventuring, of all the different hats you put on one day to the next. I'm the adventurer one day. I'm the crazy scoundrel. Get away with a few things now and again. But most of all, the more that you're on the road, the more that you travel, the more you realize it's the people. It's the people that you meet, that you relate to, that you make connections with. And that's gone.
Michael knows a thing or two about connections. He was a frequent flyer himself. In fact, in 1984, he took up United Airlines' promotional challenge. Try to fly 50 states in 50 days. He did it in only 13 and was rewarded with a golden ticket, 1 full year of first-class flying for free.
This wanderlust, do you have it?
Oh boy, do I have it. I've always had it. And it can get a little bit of the better of you. I mean, just think of the fantasizing that we do when we're stuck in, like I say, my 48-hour workday. I never got so much done, but I long for the freedom to get out of this and to resume my adventuring.
That feeling of, I've got to get out there again. I'm missing cabin crew doors to automatic. I'm missing the airline food. I'm missing just being to another city. You're telling me, live with it, but it's normal.
It is normal. I hope and expect and believe that we're going to get back to some more normality again. And guess what? We're going to appreciate it that much more.
Travelling in COVID times is not easy. For those that can do it, it is still worth it. And for those who can't, just think of the great journeys ahead when you can finally travel. And that's CNN Business Traveller for this month. I'm Richard Quest, boarding the plane. Wherever your travels may take you, I hope they're profitable. Have a safe flight.